Well, it clamped in good. I've got a little tweaking to do right there on the bottom. Looks like the when I put that pipe in there and squashed the middle, left the corners down, I hammered them in a little bit, but that's pretty good. I've got half to 3/4 of an inch on each corner that I need to make some kind of a filler plate. I mean, I don't have to, but sure make it look finished. And you know, it's setting pretty straight. Of course, it's real easy to move, but that's centered, and that's going to be my final height. So now I just put the hood on it, see what it looks like. Well, that's it on that. The grill is setting back just a little. Got a little slope to it, which is pretty much looks like it's matching the cowl. I've got a headlight and headlight bar that goes across here. So where this grill shell goes is kind of going to be pinned by that. I'll put a headlight in it and see what it looks like. Well, this kind of threw me a curve. I put these brackets on here where the lights were pointed forward. And you can tell by the lenses they're supposed to be 90 degrees to that. But they're clearing barely. I can move that radiator back just a little, but something's wrong there. I'll play with it a little and see if I can figure it out. Well, that's the best I could get them. You can see they're both sticking up. I don't know whether I ought to try to mount them different. I think that's a good place for them. It'd be pretty easy to make a bar that goes across these two lights. And I could probably cut this bracket right here and move them down. That might be the way to go. It looks like I got about, I don't know, 20 degrees or something. You could probably do that, just cut a triangle out of the bottom, bend it down. probably the best way to go. That way I could get a straight piece across there. The brass on this on the mounts has been cut and welded. Don't know why, but I don't think the see there, angle toward the outside. I'm probably trying to miss something in both of them. Yeah, this one is too. But anyway, the headlights will work there. That one's quite a ways away from the grill because the fender's kind of hanging down. But it'll come up pretty easy. Plus I don't have the light bolted in good. Anyway, that'll answer my question. Will my grill shell work? Lights are offset to either side of it. So the answer to that is yes. Starts to look more like car of day. Well, I'm gonna take a break here and get something to eat. Well, I decided to move on here with the bumper, grill, radiator. I decided to use that one. It's buy another one's $120 or something. That one looks pretty good. So I thought I'd just buy a transmission cooler and put in it. That's $20, quite a bit of difference. So anyway, what I did is I cut off a piece of this angle here off of that, and I just tacked this in. So this is hitting the radiator will set in this. Looks kind of floppy there. I probably ought to put some kind of a round rod or something in here. I don't know how much room I got to brace it. It's getting more and more strong, and I decided to just weld a piece of plate on it so it'll sit over the front of the splash pan, and I'll put a couple bolts in it here. This is marked left side. He had these two sheet metal brackets running up in that radiator. No idea what he thought was going to happen, but they were really floppy. So it is 14 gauge, so it'll be good enough to do this. I got it put on there pretty good. It's not the greatest, but it's good enough. Let's see what it looks like on the car. Well, there it is. I just clamped it there where a bolt will go. I'll probably put 3 in it. One there, one in the center. I was hoping I could use his holes, but not really. I've got a nice little curve over here, nice little curve over there. I can get away with just leaving that little gap in there. I've got it marked for the center. I've got it, I don't know, 2 inches off this bracket and 2 inches off this bracket, which is the upper control arms. So that's centered, and this will make the grill shell good and tight, and that's enough support for the shell. But not enough support for a radiator. So I'm going to go ahead and drill a couple holes in here, put a couple bolts in it to see what kind of strength I do have. I want to be able to unbolt this grill shell. I've made this a little big, like 1/4 of an inch wider than the radiator, so I can put some rubber in there, and it's strong enough once it's bolted down to keep it from rattling around. I'm gonna probably go from the frame here up to the lower radiator mount. But anyway, I gotta get some holes bored in here and we can move on with trying to mount the radiator itself. Well, there's that end. Centered up good. I put 2 bolts in it, one on each side of the lower corners. Pretty stiff now. Looks like it's trying to point forward a little, but it's not not really bad. The radiator will pull that in and fix it. Now I'll stick my radiator here, and I have to mount the radiator to the bracket or the cowl. Boy, these headlights are going to be real close. I don't know if I'm going to be able to lower them down or what. Doesn't make any difference. The radiator's got to go in right there. The lights will have to fit the car. So let me put that radiator in and see what I can figure out. Well, I can make a little bracket here to mount the radiator into the shell. It's got to come back a little. I think what I'll do is you gotta weld something onto that frame or bolt it. You can see over there it's open, but that frame's got to be boxed. So most likely weld a stud on top of the frame, and then I can either bring a bracket over here, bolt it to the shell, which would locate the shell real good, or if I want to go in another inch or so, go all the way to the bracket on the radiator. I think it'd look better. If I just mounted the cowl good and solid, and then do whatever I have to do with a couple spacers or something to mount that radiator into the shell, because the shell's got a lot of bends and stuff in it, so it's pretty strong. It's already holding the bottom of the radiator. Looks like that's my best bet. Put a stud or thread the frame right there. I don't know how thick that is. Probably 1/8 inch. I don't know if that'll be good enough thread or not. But I need to keep this area kind of open in case I have to take off this upper A-arm. I don't want to be putting a bunch of stuff in. This stuff's old, I can tell right now it needs bushing, so it's going to have to be replaced eventually. Well, I think that's what I'm going to do. Just mount a bracket right here on this flat spot. Thread it, bring it over here, bring it up to here. Probably I'd take it all the way to here. Where I got 2 good bolts in the shell. May not need them. Probably just take it to the bottom, because this shell is kind of going to be held on by the hood. But I still would like to get that radiator mounted real solid somehow, and that looks like the only way to do it. Could go down onto the cross member, but I don't want to do that either. Frame is best. Let's see if I can bend up the bracket and see what it looks like. Well, I've been playing around with this for an hour. I tried making a bracket that would go here, and that looks pretty good, and that would probably work. I thought about making a plate that went from here back there, but the frame has been boxed with a little thin piece of 1x2. I can't really thread into that. So what I need to do is cut me like a 1/4 inch plate, weld into this, then I can drill and tap that, and then this will work. So I could either weld a plate in it, drill it and tap it, or weld a nut on the inside on the bottom, so I can just have a hole there. But the same thing here, I tried drilling a little hole right in this area. You can see it there right above the shadow. It's real thin too. This is probably good enough to hold the tin down, but again, the best deal would be to put a plate or put a nut on the inside and weld it. That way I just have a bolt going right down into it. So I'm stuck either way. I have to weld something in there, and that means that I got to get the car in the shop. But at least this front part is good, and I've got the radiator mostly in, mocked up. And that's a weird looking little setup they got there on the radiator. I guess that's the inlet. Goes in the bottom, comes out the top. Don't know what I'll do about that. It may work. But anyway, the hood and everything's mostly on. Getting hot out here, and this heat knocks me out. So I'm gonna kind of clean up my tools and see what I can do in the shade.